Hi Hinsters, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome too. It has been a wee while since I did a moon video, but here we are with the full moon in Sagittarius, which officially is happening tomorrow, which is Hump Day, here in Korea anyway. At I think around 20 degrees, let me just check, around 20, yes, 20 degrees of Sagittarius. And a full moon, like every full moon, is where the moon is opposing the sun. I did do a little video on full moons and new moons in general. If you want to check that out on my channel, I'll pop that somewhere in the video for you. Yeah, so here we are. Full moon in Sagittarius. I actually think this is going to be a good one. For a lot of people, it's going to be a good one, or like a pretty good one, or like maybe I should say a not that bad at all one, especially if you're a Cancer rising. We've got Jupiter, the ruler of your sixth house, who is the host, by the way, of this full moon, Jupiter. But yeah, for Cancer risings, for example, we have Jupiter always ruling your sixth house of bad fortune, and that's where this full moon is happening, in the house of your bad fortune, Cancer rising. But it's almost like things starting to look on the up and up, especially with Jupiter having finally left his detriment and his long transit through the sign of Gemini. Now he is in his exaltation in Cancer. But anyway, yes, I think for a lot of people it is a good full moon, or it can quite easily be a good or not that bad. I think that's the better phrase, like a not that bad kind of full moon. And full moons, they are culminations, they are like explosions and overspills and reactions, but they're also like deep kind of realizations and finalizations as well in some cases. And let's talk about the moon a little bit, shall we? The moon is, in the Hermetic Tarot, for example, known as the Lord of Flux and Reflux. So I do think for a lot of people, this full moon, being in Sagittarius, has this kind of feeling or experience of like finally realizing like where and how we had been maybe a victim of or tripping up when it comes to the way that we are like pulled in and out of certain cycles or in and out of certain dynamics. And it's more now of like getting wise about something or having learned something that has to do with these like tides, if you like. Cancer, ruled by the moon, is especially Cancer rising, again, the teller of the tides. So it can be a time of good fortune where we learn something wise or like something valuable when it comes to like our tides and our patterns and habits especially. And it's like a good nugget of knowledge, a useful nugget of knowledge to kind of snatch from the air and take with you with kind of more of a full, fiery, flighty force as we head towards the end of Gemini season as well. This is, of course, a full moon in Gemini season being the peak of the spiritual spring and the first kind of mutable spicing it up type of season. So this is where we have this full moon in the very first spice it up, shuffle it up type of season that is Gemini. And we have, as I mentioned, this full moon in Sagittarius being hosted by Jupiter. So Jupiter, because he is the ruler of Sagittarius. By the way, also, I want to say the moon, yes, she has her like domicile in Cancer, she has her fall in Capricorn, she has her exaltation in Taurus, she has what I call her secret rulerships or secret domiciles in Pisces and Leo, and her secret kind of detriments in Aquarius and I said Capricorn already, Aquarius. She has all of that going for her, and in like traditional astrology, she's considered like peregrine or like normal or neutral, if you like, in the sign of Sagittarius. But she's in the sign of Sagittarius, so it is a Jupiter ruled sign, so it's still more on the better side, I would say, this full moon, for that simple fact. So for a lot of people, again, it's not going to be bad at all, or that bad at all for a lot of people, even though it is a full moon, which can sometimes be about like people's reactions or like emotional outbursts, stuff like that. I would still like, take care if you're out and about on the streets, because a lot of Sagittarian energy when you're out and about or in the wild, if you like, it can have that energy, especially in Gemini season. It can have that energy of like the crazies, or just like dodgy people or dodgy things, but keep your senses with you, have your wits about you. Don't, if you can, don't go down those dark alleys. Don't, fall for the scammer on the street corner kind of thing. There can also be some like weird things coming through for some people as well right now, but it's kind of like you already clock, or you're already like clued in as to how to deal with certain weird things or messages or vibes that come in. You already know what to do, and you just do it, and you get on with your life, you move it along. And this could be like those weird emails, where like some prince apparently has lost everything and needs your credit card number, or like you get messaged by some anonymous or AI profile or something that is threatening you. Sextortation, all this kind of stuff can creep up or pop up, but it's not like, again, it's not like so serious or so severe or so sinister for a lot of us. It's more like, I know what that is, I know what you're doing, and you just kind of nip it in the bud, or you're able to flee or get away, get rid of this person, this thing, this dynamic very easily, because it's a lot about like the knowledge, the kens, and like wisdom and stuff that you are already familiar with being sucked into or pulled into sometimes. We're talking about the moon, right? Tides and flux and reflux. So a lot of us, we are woken up now. We are being woken up now to these things, and it's kind of like, yeah, fully out of hibernation now for many of us. But yeah, this exalted Jupiter, because he's in Cancer, finally, this is the sign where he loves to be, in the sign of Cancer. He's here hosting this full moon. The moon also being the ruler of Cancer, so it's very nice. This is like this magnanimous, gorgeous guest in the house of the moon. And so this full moon can be very much about like celebrations, or like for some people, like almost like a fountain of good luck or good fortune, or something really nice, gorgeous happening. We've got Mercury here as well, and it's happening on Mercury's day, Wednesday, hump day. So you've got Mercury there in the mix. We recently had a Mercury-Jupiter conjunction exactly as well in Gemini at the anoretic, like extreme or boiling point. So there's a lot that has been going on with these planets. And I like the omens that it is presenting. I think it's very much a good omen for a lot of people. I would say luck to your Jupiter ruled houses. So Jupiter rules two houses in your birth chart, the Pisces house and the Sagittarius house. Luck to those houses, what themes are in those houses, and this can be a very good omen as to what is potentially getting a lot better for you. And even if you're a Cancer rising, right, as I mentioned earlier, like your Sagittarius house is the house of bad fortune. So even some area of bad fortune for you, or some aspect of bad fortune for you, could be like on the up and up, or getting better, or being, as I said before, becoming not that bad. Often with people who have like illnesses, for example, when we have something like this in the sixth house, it can be the illness gets better, you feel better, or there's more like vitality, especially once Cancer season comes around and we have the sun also entering your first house. This can be, for Cancer risings again, this can be like more good stuff, more good omens, or at the very least for some people, more like illuminations, or like this is what's wrong with me, or this is like these are the symptoms as clear as day. That kind of thing can crop up for Cancer risings once Cancer season kicks in, especially. But anyway, a full moon, yes, is an opposition. So we've got the sun and the moon opposing each other. The sun in Gemini, the moon in Sagittarius, and it can still have this feeling for a lot of us of like around this full moon of like I get it, like kind of like eating crow is the expression we use in English sometimes. So eat some crow, like admit something. It can be about accountability as well, you know, just like saying something with your chest. Well, not just saying something with your chest, but like admitting something as well with that chesty kind of power and confidence. So it can be that mix as well with a full moon of like, yeah, this is something that I did wrong, or you did wrong, or they did wrong, and it's like admitting either that, you know, there was a part that everyone played negatively, or admitting that maybe you won't forget what someone did to you, but you can forgive it, or you can let it like slide by. You won't like go on some kind of vengeful thing or like dramatic thing. You can just be like this Sagittarian centaur who's like happy to you know, trod on like a horse, happy to, you know, skid away to the next party, the next gig. It's, you know, very much water off a duck's back, or like water under the bridge. Also, something kind of has to give, I think, for some people around this full moon, or we are realizing that something has to give. And that can be in many different areas or senses. This can be like diet or health, like realizing that something has to give at this point. You know, maybe you're like in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you're like, I have to give up or reduce significantly this thing, or this other thing, this other condition or feeling or like chronic thing is not going to abate. And there can be that kind of realization as well for us. So again, it's not like necessarily, a very joyous kind of Sagittarius full moon, but it can be anyway something that it's good that you realize now, kind of like better now than never, or better late than never. There can be a lot of that around this full moon in Sagittarius. And yeah, it's not like harsh truth. So although Sagittarius is about truth, it's very much this sign of expressive or masculine Jupiterian energy of going out there seeking the truth, or aiming for things, people that express or resonate with the truth, and all of this. It's not like harsh, right? And also, but at the same time, it can be, as I mentioned before, with the sun moving into Cancer later, it can be about like things being as clear as day come the summer solstice. And also it can be about like the writing is on the walls. Something is very clear now in a relationship or a dynamic or a situation, in a group thing. It's just like obvious, like what it was or what it is. And like, and then we would be making ourselves really a big fool if we were to like continue like stuck there. Taurus season is well over with now, right? To continue stuck there, or to harp on, or to beat a dead horse kind of thing. We'd be much more a fool to remain there, and not do that kind of centaur frolicking away, and like, or the Geminian kind of winged insect or bird, like buzzing away, flying away, fleeing. If we don't do that, for some of us, some of the time, we kind of, we just make ourselves look like such a fool, or we have such a foolish kind of realization or experience later down the line. This is also about reflections, of course. Full moons are always about reflections, in some sense, like it is the moon reflecting all of that sun's light. But I think it's here like reflections on sporadically good things. So around this full moon, there can be something that you're going to have, or you're reflecting on something that you recently had that was, it was a really good thing. It was a really good person that came along. you had a really good date or series of dates, or I don't know, a good like job opportunity or like trip or something that you were able to go on or you are able to go on, but it's like very short-lived or it's sporadic in some sense, and it's like a person or thing or an experience that's short-lived, but also has this kind of seemingly like perfect element to it, or like this well-matched kind of vibe or energy to it. So sometimes it's like the one that got away type of thing, or it's like ships passing in the night type of thing. That kind of vibe can be very like lunar, uh, Jupiter, masculine energy sort of juices all coming together. I will also say as well, for some people, this is a lot about discipline and like exercise and movement, because this is Sagittarius we're talking about. It's the thigh in the like anatomically speaking. It is the thigh. It is about the, you know, the butt as well, the thigh, and the fitness of the legs as well, as like spiritually, anatomically speaking. But it's about discipline, sports, keeping active, keeping curious, keeping things moving, keeping the cogs turn, and all that kind of stuff, and like keeping it, what's the word that I'm looking for? Keeping it snappy, keeping it steppy, kind of thing. And it's about discipline though at the same time. Like again, these realizations of, oh, where do I need to reclaim? Because it can be a lot about like these reflections again. So reflecting on our maybe not so disciplined past, and where do I need to fix something or tighten something? Because when I do, if I do, it's going to help me gain or get more of that really exciting kind of mutable Sagittarian fire. And it's going to be so good for my nurturing lunar stuff. It's going to be so good for the stuff that I have always intuited and known to be good for me, to be right for me, because Sagittarius, it is the spiritual sign of the right way. It is the spiritual sign of the right path. And there are so many things, especially in Gemini season, so many things and people that can buzz around us and distract us and take us away from all of that. But at the end of the day, around a full moon or any big transit in Sagittarius, it can be very much about like, at the end of the day, coming back to getting back on track of that right way or that direction. And it can very much have to do with discipline and shedding a skin. We're in the snake year as well. Maybe like shedding a skin now come this summer solstice and peak of the spiritual spring. Like, yeah, shedding a skin and being like fresh now, being on it now, being tight in some sense now, and being positive about it and optimistic about it. And for some, this is about like soldiers, being like a soldier in some sense. There can be some soldier vibes or active vibes that we take on, wanting to discipline ourselves in some way. And also, regarding the Gemini season video that I did, my last video, I was talking about something and I forgot what I wanted to mention. I remembered I wanted to talk about things like exercise and things like tidying up, and why is it that with that kind of thing, activity, it can take us so long to just do it, right? Just to get into it, you know, to whether that's like dragging ourselves to the gym or making ourselves pick up that first dirty cup or clean that first dirty dish, whatever it is. Like, it can take us so long to take that really small, simple step, but it is because of procrastination and like the pull or the push that it has on us, and the way that we get, again, talking about like the reflux and flux of things, the way we get like sucked back out of our good habits or good rituals. And Venus, she's back in Taurus now, so let us prioritize now the normalization or the regularity of our rituals. Let us get back into healthy rituals, normal rituals of our life, and those circles and the spinning wheels and cogs of our life, which we know are good for us and are good value to us. Venus is there in her domicile. It's not so much now about like throwing ourselves into too much adventure or too much like fantasy or too much creativity anymore. It's more we're getting into this calm but also confident and back into a kind of disciplined type of mindset for a lot of people. But yeah, anyway, it's because of procrastination, but not just that, also like dopamine, and how like dopamine, if we play a game, for example, or we eat some cake, or we, have some schmegs, or whatever, we do something that is like instantly gratifying, that's obviously easy to do and easy to start. Whereas not just because it's an easy thing to do, but because our brains react to it so quickly, and it's such a spike for us and our bodies. Whereas stuff like exercise or like tidying up, these things, they're so quote unquote hard and procrastinated because our brains are wired to dopamines, like instant gratification type of thing, and programming. Whereas like a good body or like a healthy kind of tidy home or space, these things take a lot of time and a lot of energy, and it's very hard for us to like to not necessarily see, but to like feel the finish line. And we're talking about goals here as well, right? It can be very hard for us to feel the accomplishment when it's something like exercise, or yeah, our diet, or our space, tidiness, all these things, organization. That takes a long time, and we're not going to get the instant hits. And I think this full moon in Sagittarius can be about a lot of that kind of stuff for us. And at the end of the day, Sagittarius is about the right way, getting back on the right track. Yes, it's a full moon. It can have a little tinge of like a sweet, bittersweet regret kind of thing, kind of vibe, kind of lost romance type of stuff can go on, of course, around this full moon. But at the end of the day, I think it's overall a good full moon, or like at least a full moon where many of us can take something wise or valuable from it, again, at the end of the day. So that's what I have for this full moon in Sagittarius, happening around June 11th of this year, 2025. Have a lovely full moon, and I'll be back pretty soon with the Cancer season video. Love yous, take care, and I'll see yous when I see yous. Boy, boy.